Thought it was about time I bring you guys back around and catch up on what's been happening with the green. It feels like it's been forever since I've shot a video out here with all the other bits and pieces that have been going on, and obviously our latest project is the rye, and today is day 12, and I did actually post up a little clip on Instagram there earlier. It's really kicking along, so we'll probably go back to that again in a week's time when there's a little bit more happening. So I just thought there's been a lot of questions about the green, what's been happening with it, how we cope with max and wee spots. Sort of got some very early theories about that. A lot of you have been asking about the TifEagle and the dwarf Zoysia that I've got here on trial. Now obviously one of the conditions of me getting that Zoysia was I couldn't actually reveal exactly what type of Zoysia it is, other than it's here on trial and it's going to be potentially a new greens grade plant. So it's not Sir Grange, it is a whole new variety again. As you can see looking around, we're looking pretty good. Height of cut is set at 5mm, and it's actually where I'm going to leave it all winter. I'm not raising heights or anything like that. What I will do today though is I'll give it its final and really light application of a granular fertilizer, and I'm actually trialing a new product today that I haven't actually used before, and it was recommended to me by New Turf, and it's called 7 Iron. So it's a specific greens fertilizer. It's a real fine prill. It's the real deal when it comes to applying fertilizers on shortcut turf. So the granules are, you know, about the size of a grain of sand. So we'll go half rate at that, so which is the 2 kilos per 100. So I'll be really interested to see how that performs and just carries this gently through winter, and obviously we'll offset that with the liquid plant doctor products. So let's have a look around. Let's start with the Zoysia, because it's been a while since we've been on it as well. As you saw in the clip there, it is fully covered, and I am now mowing it at 5mm with the Toro. A few little lumps and bumps still in it, but I'm not too worried about that, because that corner of the green isn't actually ever going to be a putting surface. It's actually more the surround, so not too concerned about that. But later on down the track, if I choose to turn my green into a Zoysia green, obviously that'll be a different story then. So let's have a look around. Okay, so as you can see, we have now got absolute full coverage. It's taken a long time. Obviously Zoysia is an incredibly slow grower, especially down south here in New South Wales. Obviously in Queensland, you'd probably find it to be a little bit quicker. But needless to say, we have got there, and I'm very impressed. This stuff, I don't know, it's hard to explain. It's not smooth and soft like cooch. It's a bit more like, feels a bit more like a 3-day growth actually. It's a little bit prickly, if that makes sense, but it's a really nice surface, and I think if it was dead level, it'd be a really nice putting surface. You can see these darker bits here are where it's all actually run into the bare spot, so they're actually a little bit lower, and these higher, lighter coloured bits are the initial plugs that I planted, and they became the little tufts that we attacked at in the springtime. So my plans are at this stage, I'd like to sort of from this grow out some more and see what it's like. Ultimately, I would like this to be my green if I can. I'm just not sure if how it'll go on a larger scale over a larger period of time, but there's only one way to find out. So that's my sort of plan, is to extend this project out and extend this trial of this grass, use the Pro Plugger, and yeah, create another patch of it and see how we go. This winter will obviously tell me the story as to how it holds up. Last season it was still establishing, but went pretty well. But let's just see what this winter brings. Okay, the TifEagle is probably the grass that's attracted the most amount of interest. I get a lot of questions asking me where people can get it from, etc. Now, as far as I'm aware, there's only one grower who's still growing it in Australia, and they're based in Queensland, but I'm getting also reports back that he doesn't want to sell it to the public. And look, I don't know why that is. The public money is as good as the golf course money, etc. So yeah, maybe he's got a tiny bit, maybe he hasn't, I don't know, but he doesn't seem too fussed on selling it to you guys, and I don't know why that is. Now look, this is very much at home at this 5mm, and obviously it can go much lower. The colour is great, the density is great, the putting surface is all fantastic. Now, The TifEagle will get a lot more thatchy and there's a lot more work in it than there will be in the Zoysia, but it's also probably more in its optimal growing conditions down here too. It spreads really, really rapidly. It takes readily. It is a little bit fertilizer hungry, like it does like a fairly good feed. But that being said, it's, you know, this is a really, really nice tight surface, and it always gets a lot of attention. Now let's just quickly touch on dog spots or wee spots or whatever you want to call them. I'm sort of starting to get the opinion that a lot of the burn here could be associated to the diet. Now these burn patches here, and there's some over in the corner, have happened before any fertilizing. It's not like this area was over fertilized or whatever the case may be. Now I totally understand that, you know, often if a dog wees on a lawn that goes green, it's a deficiency in nitrogen, etc. And I do run my stuff a bit lean, so that doesn't explain these sort of burns here. So I've noticed that if you're running, like when Max is on, for example, some treats or something like that, so at the moment he's just finishing teething, so every now and then we'll give him some chew bones or whatever the case may be. I'm noticing dog the spots after those, but when he's just back on his premium food diet, I'm not getting any fertilizer burns. In fact, I'm getting more of the green patches. So I'm not going to go and say that it's his diet that's making him wee green patches or wee kill patches. I'm just still sort of finding my way around that, but I'm starting to think diet plays a very strong part of it. So as soon as I sort of work out a little bit more and pinpoint a little bit more, I'll touch back on it. But as you can see, the only patch on the whole green, there's a tiny little bit on the corner of the green. There's this patch here, but then there's a fair bit in the longer grass. So yeah, most of the wee, and he does wee on the green, most of the green spots become a lot darker. So once I work out a bit more, I'll keep you posted on that one though, because it's sort of got me a bit intrigued, because if I can work out that it's his diet that's doing it, then, you know, I'll let you guys know what he's on, etc. But at the moment, I'm not going to draw any bows or come to any conclusions just based on assumptions. So once we find out a little bit more, I'll let you know. Okay, so if you've been watching the channel for a while, you might remember that this section here, that's all now plugged out, used to be a patch of TifDwarf, and I sort of have since ruled it out of consideration for a replacement grass for the green. I have kept a small pot of it, so I've always got a little tiny bit of stock. It's always handy for someone like me who's a bit weird like that to keep a little bit of stuff that's unusual or hard to get. It's always good to have a bit, because you just never know when it might come in handy. So I have kept a pot, and I can grow more from it if I need to. So these are starting to run now. They've been in here a few weeks. Obviously the season slows down, so it's not running so much. But as you saw there in the clip, I am already mowing this right down at green site. So these little plugs are already getting cut at 5mm. So should avoid the big tufts that I had going on when I had the Zoysia. So this has just been treated like the rest of it, and it'll slowly spread in. No doubt if I'd let it go a bit longer, it perhaps would have spread a bit faster and I would have had better coverage. But hey, I'm just trying it this way just to see what happens. So yeah, that's what's going on. As I mentioned in the beginning of the video, I'm actually trialing a new product, new to me, product here, a new fertilizer called 7i. Now this is a true greens grade fertilizer. It's sold specifically for greens use, and the prill size is something like a grain of sand. It is really small, really fine, designed to fall down into the canopy and not be picked up by mowers, etc. Now, it's a sort of fairly even kind of a ratio. So it's 7 nitrogen, 3 phosphorus, and 6 potassium. But then it's also got 6 sulfur and actually 7 iron and a heap of trace elements, including humic acid and kelp. So this is a complete package in a granular fertilizer. It is not a cheap fertilizer, and it's probably, or is an overkill for anyone who's not got their lawn down to sort of 5 mils or less. There's no real benefit in using this product on a high lawn. There's other products that are more suited. I'm trialing this on the green because I'm finding a lot of the so-called mini prill products I'm still picking up a bit with the mower. So I'm giving this a whirl. The bag I've purchased will be specifically for this area. I'm not using it anywhere else, merely on the absolute shortcut and the trial plots. That's it. Not the surrounds, just the green. It really is a true greens product, and I don't really want to waste it on higher cut turf. So we'll get it out. One of the key notes for this sort of a product is it's got to be applied to a dry ground. So no dew, nothing like that, because it's going to start breaking down the coating straight away and you will potentially get fertilizer burn. So always apply to a dry leaf, then irrigate in afterwards. Now, the difference between irrigating in afterwards and putting onto a dewy surface, obviously, as you put it down, it starts to break down, whereas that's a very slow process. When you're watering, it's actually getting more ability to dissolve these little granules than just, I guess, melting away the coating and having it sort of leach in and really burn your turf, because you will get funny little marks on it and you'll wonder what's going on, and it will be a fertilizer burn. So we'll put this out, we'll give it a really light drink. I think it's, 4 or 5 millimeters, that's all it needs, and we'll sit back and see what sort of a result we get from it. Right, well, that was quite interesting, because I couldn't even see it coming out of the spreader, let alone where it is on the green, but needless to say, it's on there. We'll chuck some water on now, and we'll come back in a couple of weeks' time and just see if we can notice any difference in colour and improvement, or if we start to see any more pea burns from the dog, see if the nitrogen levels are going to directly affect my personal situation with Max and his wee spots. But anyway, guys, have a fantastic weekend. We'll catch you next time on the Aussie Lawn.